So I'm going to show you the new map of the United States of America, and you may not be able to see this very well. We have 50 states in the United States, but this is mega regions. Mega regions. Mega regions. Mega, large. Mega regions. These are the city-states. These are large cities that are being made larger. Now remember I told you that the gray area is the wildlands. That's going to be the area that no one will have access to. And you know, I haven't told you anything about myself. I was a legal witness, an expert witness in land use and land valuation for my government, for the State Department of Transportation. Expert witness, testified in court. And I found out about this because I saw that people were not being able to use their land. And I looked behind that and I found Agenda 21. This is true. Okay, the federal government of the United States is doing this, is in process of creating mega regions, which are essentially crossing national boundaries. This is Cascadia. It used to be a portion of Washington State, Oregon State, Idaho, and Vancouver area, British Columbia in Canada. The Southern California and Texas Triangle areas include part of Mexico. This breaks national boundaries, it breaks state boundaries, it breaks county boundaries. It's also a project of the Ford Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation. Regionalization and world government. You use trade agreements to destroy boundaries, and you actually cannot make local law that breaks those treaties.
It's illegal. It's a federal violation to be in possession of a moon rock. Even the smallest particle you are not allowed to have, because you could put it under a microscope and maybe discover things about it. The fact is, von Braun took an unusual holiday 6 weeks before they went to the moon for the first time. You would think he would be practically sleeping at NASA 24/7 to make sure everything worked for the first launch to the moon. But he had enough leisure time left over to make a trip to Antarctica, which is known for having a lot of lunar meteorites. And he collected a bunch of those rocks, and those were submitted as coming from the moon. And some of them are just, false pieces of petrified wood that they assumed would never be opened. That's why it's a federal crime to be in possession of one, because you could prove that some of them are fake.
Scientists just made one of the biggest discoveries ever, and people are losing their minds. So you've probably heard of hydrogel before, which, if you used to play with Orbeez or anything like that, that's what it's made of. And there's many other things that it is used for. Now we all know the pain of getting a cut, or especially a bad injury or wound. What they do is they plaster it up, they bandage it up, and it's going to take quite a long time to heal, right? Depending on how bad the cut actually is, it can take anywhere from a month, 2 months, even up to a year if it's really, really bad. But scientists at the University of Bayreuth in Germany have just made one of the craziest discoveries ever, and I'm not joking when I say this is literally groundbreaking. What they've done is develop a hydrogel so advanced that it is paper thin, and somehow it mimics human skin. Yeah, in a number of ways, such as flexibility and also taking on its healing capabilities. So this tiny thin sleeve that will be put on instead of like a bandage will now be able to heal wounds 90% in 4 hours and fully within a whole day, which is absolutely game changing for the world. And once this becomes mainstream, when they've done more testing, it's insane.
Nothing to see right here. Nothing at all. A plane just spontaneously combusted today in Denver, Colorado, at the Denver airport.
Like that. Oh, what happened?
It's on fire.
And this did just happen to be coincidentally not related. It just happened to be a Boeing plane. Again, not really at all, just giving you the manufacturer of the plane. And also completely unrelated 1000%. Did you know that a plane fell out of the sky in Texas earlier today? Yeah, the same Texas that had green fire and explosions happening underground yesterday. I really do wondering what could be happening to all planes in the air in 2025. This picture is purely for entertainment to get your attention. So what do y'all think about this? Do you intend on flying anywhere in 2025? I know it's been literally months, but I am sure that at some point soon you'll get this figured out. right?
By far, the most chilling experiments we have uncovered took place at this Gothic estate called Raven's Crag, halfway up Mount Royal in Montreal. It houses the Allen Memorial Institute of Psychiatry of McGill University.
Is a psychic driving, so-called, type of therapy. He would give the patient intensive electric treatment in order to make the patient regress deeply, become forgetful. And then he would attempt to implant new ideas in the mind of the patient.
Now, to a layman, it would appear that Dr. Cameron was trying to take the slate and wipe it clean, the slate being the mind. In other words, brainwashing.
Exactly, that's a very good comparison.
Brainwashing.
Yes.
Hey, Governor DeSantis. Today, when I got up in St. Petersburg, it was clear blue sky, and I started watching all the planes spraying. Now, I know that FAA knows who's flying. I'm pretty sure the governor can figure out who's flying and spraying and creating these fake clouds in the sky. Look. I even got footage of that plane spraying. So, Governor of Florida and Florida officials, what are we doing about this? And why don't you start explaining exactly what it is? Clear blue sky. Look at all the lines from the planes. I watched them all, and some of them stop spraying after a while and they restart. Can we have an explanation?
You've heard the theories. The old railroads were not laid, but they were dug up. Look at this big old pile of dirt. I can't help but notice all the pickaxes and shovels for digging. A pickaxe isn't a very useful hammer. Wait a minute, is this tunnel still half buried? Gotcha, where's that rail track going? Now I'm no scientist, but why is the dirt still flush and level with the railroad ties? Okay, looks like this one is in construction, but where is this railroad going? Into the dirt? Wait a minute, train cars full of dirt and a big old mound of dirt along the sides of the tracks? Reminds me of all these old world buildings that were dug out of the ground. Entire cities under entire cities. You ever wonder why are there tops of windows on the ground? Yeah, tops of windows on the ground. Makes you wonder how tall these buildings really were. I watched a gentleman's video on this topic, and he said that the old westerns, it was always about constructing the railroad, as if they were programming it into the minds of the people. Oh, I've been working on the railroad all the live long day. They just didn't tell you that working on the railroad was taking big old mounds of dirt and displacing it to reveal tracks beneath.
Yep, we are all being surveilled right now, and if you see them in your backyard or near your home, it's a dire warning that even running at that point might be too late. People were terrified after a Utah mother went viral for her husband and son seeing something that turned them pale white, as it was something not from Earth, had sharp red stained teeth, and about 3 feet tall, climbing all over the backyard walls, and it was waiting for them to go to bed. Haunting footage shows the mother putting pennies and sports balls all over the yard to try to lure it in, and after just a few minutes, she seemingly saw the pennies stack themselves and the balls disappear.
So we came back from dinner, the ball's gone, and this is what happened with the penny.
With even the neighbors leaving an eerie warning that violent duendes or paranormal gnomes have been spotted there, and they specifically watch us to take children. And since the mother had given them gifts, it's believed the duendes will take this as a welcoming to Earth, and they might not only be here to stay, but their first victim might be this family. The mother's TikTok has since then been completely deleted, and no one has heard from her since.
I sense there's something that is very significant about the western part of the United States. The desert, the Grand Canyon, the rock formations. You think even like Devil's Tower. I think it's in is that Wyoming?
Wyoming, yes.
Different rock formations. Like there's different parts like Arizona. It looks like it's been like a nuclear blast, like more than a nuclear blast. Like what did that? How did the rocks start to look like mushrooms?
And when you get up towards like northern Arizona, like on the way to Utah, there's a bunch of like the structures like you're talking about. Like there's barren land and then it almost looks like ancient towers, like towers or cities that were like,
yeah, like if you look in, crazy thing about like the Grand Canyon is they have like the Temple of Isis, the Tower of Osiris, they have like another temple to Shiva, I think, in there, and it's like they just said some guy just named it that for reasons. Of course. But it kind of does look like there's an entrance to the temple to Isis. Like, what is that place? And then you find out it's off limits. Okay, so now you start to get suspicious. Like, all right, okay, well, it's dangerous. It's like, well, people go missing in national parks every day, all day, throughout the country.
Right.
So they're real worried they'll go missing in the Grand Canyon for some reason.
Well, did you know that North America has more cave entrances into whatever you want to call that, whether you want to call it Hollow Earth, Middle Earth, whatever. North America has more entrances than any other continent.
We are in control because basically we are not a political organization. We are an occult organization. We're working behind the scenes to manipulate the way that people think. The war that we are waging is a guerrilla war on the human mind. And we use musical frequencies, the dominant frequency, which I've referred to before, and symbolism and imagery to awaken dormant aspects of the human mind. And what we're waging is a cultural war right now on every front, in music, in literature, utilizing the media against itself. And we're using music because that's the instrument that young people respond to right now. We're doing propaganda directly to awaken the wolf in man. Politics is merely the puppet show of human beings, and we transcend that. But we are interested in the control of human beings for our own purpose. We have no concern for the homeless, particularly. We don't have any concern in helping people.
On our planet, we have more than 3,554 gates that you can travel from one point to another point in a few seconds. All these gates are on ley lines. They are the magnetic field lines from our planet. From these 3,454 gates, there was 12,000 years ago all open, but they have closed them in 3026 before Christ. They have closed all the gates. And why they have closed the gates? It was the last days that the gods were staying on our planet and was going away. And when they was going away, they have closed all these gates. And all these gates today, they are under big temples like we know, like Giza, Angkor Wat, Stone Age, Avebury, and so on. Under these ancient temples are old accesses to these gates. So the last gates was open on our planet was the gates in Mexico. On different temples in Mexico, we have gates. There was no still open after 3026 BC. But on the moment when the reptilians have taken over our planet, the Violet Masters have closed the last gates what was open.
Oh mate, we have a piece of footage, from what I can gather, coming out of Brazil of a strange orb-like object floating in the sky, and this was filmed on an S23 Ultra. Look at the state of this object, bruv. Right? What is that about? Okay? When we're talking about potentially organic type UAP UFOs that exist, what the f is that? Right? This kind of looks similar to the thing that we saw in Kolkata, India, a little while ago from a distance, okay? But this is zoomed in of some strange activity. I mean, we've got some people saying that this is a hologram, or some people saying this is some sort of nest, or some sort of rubbish in the sky, but this thing was floating for a while and then vanished off shortly after. A correlation that happens with a lot of sightings that we come across, okay? And again, making no sound. I do not know, mate. It kind of looks biblical in nature. If I'm going to say anything, it looks like a seraphim almost, but I don't know. You guys let me know what you think.
Take a look right now. You can see the Bellingham Tower cam showing that full moon that's out there. We had the eclipse earlier in the evening, last night I guess it is now. And
imagine being on a cruise in the Gulf of Mexico yesterday and seeing this.
What in the is that? Did you see that? What did it do? Oh my god! Oh my god, it just went straight to the water. Oh my gosh.
Hold on.
Where'd it go?
I still see glowing in the water. It's
Now, folks that are observing this entire phenomenon witnessed it go into the water, and as you can hear the guy in the background say, it went into the water with no splash. And then the second person, the woman, the second one, I guess a friend, said, I can still see it glowing in the water. So that's a third observable, whereas transmedium, it goes from air to water. Very fascinating. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This is probably one of the best UFO videos out in 2025. And if you like stuff like this, I'm always finding some of the best UFO clips and only bringing you what I believe is real.
This is an actual black pyramid alien-built structure on this asteroid. Now, I got this from the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, and it was in 2014, and it got in the news and everything. I messaged the company, and they refused to answer me about it, but this is legit. Within a few days, they took this video down. You judge for yourself. Look at the pyramid, look top and bottom. Is it real? Or is it your imagination?
So do you believe in aliens now, after all of this research?
I think they walk among us, and I think that some of you know. I think we're all familiar with some of them. I think they're right here with us. If you just don't know who they are.